see this and accept life from a realistic point of view. I think all of the illusions that he may have adopted in his youth from environment, I think he lost it in prison. I think he really saw life for real. And this was one of the most valuable assets that Malcolm did acquire in life, was courage, a matter of fact, to accept life from a realistic point of view. Nothing dramatized would interest Malcolm, nothing.
He became involved with the Muslims while he was in prison.
Yes, through my brother Reginald, he became involved with the Black Muslims. And the Black Muslim Islam, Elijah Muhammad gave him a chance to excel. Had not it been for Elijah Muhammad, I would have had to find possibly another field to project him through. But Islam, as it was then in a small, it was a very small thing at that time. And this gave Malcolm a chance to really excel and build the Nation of Islam. Much of the Nation of Islam is Malcolm.
Do you feel that being in the Muslims had a profound effect on Malcolm?
To some degree. It gave him a chance, as I said before, to recognize the needs of the masses of people. It also gave him a chance to recognize the lack of knowledge the masses contain. It also gave him a chance to recognize the fact that Black people are their own worst enemies.
In what ways do you think Black people are their own worst enemies?
We don't realize, many of us, that we are free. If we realize this word freedom and recognize it for what it means and watch the other people on earth exercise freedom, then we would not sing the song, "We shall overcome," and walk up and down roads and beg for this and want poverty programs and all this type of thing. We would know that our ability to care for another race would give us more ability to care for our own needs, and we don't provide for ourselves.
Was Malcolm nonviolent in your estimation?
Now, my estimation, no man is nonviolent, no man is violent. Malcolm believed, as a man should believe, that if you strike him, it was his duty as a man to strike you back.
What kind of an effect did Malcolm have on you?
On me, I believe the effect he had on me was to see him grow from childhood into a dynamic figure, a man with an understanding of man and himself and life in itself. On me, he was to me like Jesus is to most Christians. I can imagine how the Virgin Mary felt about her Jesus. This is what Malcolm was to me. Each step that he grew, each time that the changes came, I could feel them and see them. I could see them in his manner, his approach to me, his respect for me. Malcolm had a great respect for womanhood. I don't know how he came by this, but possibly, as I said, from the tribe. Maybe this was a virtue that most men don't have, but he had it. A great respect for womanhood. See, Malcolm made every sacrifice that I don't know any other man who made these sacrifices. Malcolm made every sacrifice to make himself hold a man, worthy of saying to you, do something about yourself, young lady. Or saying to a young man, get up and take your bed and walk. This is how Malcolm affected me. This is how I saw him.
Was Malcolm searching when you went abroad, traveled abroad for a period of time?
Yes. That's why I say he's ready. Malcolm broadened his scope. Much of what he learned abroad
Yeah, but I still didn't, as long as this Poland's up.
approach to the black man's problem. Before, he had much frustration. In the Nation of Islam, there is much frustration. Malcolm had acquired some of his frustration. On his return from Africa, after traveling and spending time with all of the black leaders and revolutionary leaders, Malcolm came home a man. No frustrations, no emotional problems, no desire for material gains, which is one of the greatest assets a man can acquire, is to lose that desire for material gains, lose that value on that man's dollar. Malcolm had cast aside all of this. He walked into my house. He told me he was going to speak at Harvard that night. He spoke at Harvard Law Forum. After he came back to the house, I gave him a diploma. Tonight, Malcolm, you're a man. From my point of view. He said, I traveled hard, didn't I? I said, yes, you did, but you made it. You're a man. He was ready.
Do you think the program that he was developing would have led Black people out of their bondage?
Hold on, y'all. Okay, so y'all could hear that good and everything. The quality was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, great. And
Okay.
a couple times,
Absolutely.
good. A couple of times I muted myself, and when I muted myself, it didn't cut the audio out, right? You heard the audio straight through, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, and so now let's have a brief discussion about that. So first of all, how many people have ever even seen Ella Collins before? Like, who here is completely new to seeing Ella Collins, or this is the first time you've ever saw her or hear her speak? How many folks is that new for?
Me.
Me.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
All right, good.
Me too.
All right, good. So I found a good little knowledge nugget for y'all. Great. I love those. And see, these are the things where now, you know, particularly in this day and age of Facebook and all this, see, we need to make that go viral. You see what I'm saying? Because obviously we know all manner of stuff that people are spreading on the social media, the you know, all the frivolous stuff, the jokes, the sexual stuff, the whatever. But meanwhile, folks haven't even seen this. And it's a triple hit because you have the connection to Malcolm. You got, you know, this is Boston. You got the sister there, and you got Sarah Ann Shaw, all in one nugget. Right?
Yes.
And I don't know how much, like, it doesn't get much more gangster than that. You know, so these are the types of things that, you know, when we talk about Black history, right, there's the Black history where we can go back, you know, to the ancient times, and we can go back to the ancient civilizations and, you know, the pyramids and Timbuktu and all that. And then there's the Black history that, you know, the Malcolm and the Martin and the Harriet Tubman and all that. And then too, there's the Black history that is right around you. When I was a kid, and, you know, anybody who doesn't, I see my mother's on the line. How you doing, Mom? So, you know, when I was a kid, I was an inquisitive kid. I was reading superhero comic books and all this type of stuff. It was my cousin who was older and into the Black Power movement and the Black arts movement, who at 10 years old gave me the autobiography of Malcolm X. And when I was reading voraciously the autobiography of Malcolm X, I think I read the whole thing in like 3 days or something, right? And I was like, wow, these streets, that's around here. And I got on my little bike with the banana seat and the little tassels that used to hang from the, you know, from the thing. And I went down the street to find out where this was at. And now what I'm saying is, here we are in Boston. We don't even have, in my opinion, as great of a collective historical consciousness and a knowledge, right? And a remembrance of this. You know, I just went by the Malcolm X house the other day. There's no line outside. People need to be bringing their kids and their grandkids and their nieces and their nephews through, at least to just drive by and point and say, baby, you know, that's the Malcolm X house, right? So these are the types of things where we can do something. And, you know, anytime anybody's been around any of these events that I do or what I do, you know, I'm trying to give you an assignment, because this is not just, oh, Jamal Crawford, you know, hour. We're trying to elevate and honor and venerate and duplicate our you know, our heroes and our sheroes, right? And we're trying to duplicate Black excellence. We're trying to clone Black excellence. And how do we do that? Well, the message only spreads if we spread it. So if consciousness was COVID, I want y'all to go around and cough and sneeze on everybody. That's my point. We have to spread this, like how people are, you know, concerned with spreading a religion or getting you involved in their multi-level marketing plan, you know, or trying to get you in on some Bitcoin. We need to be promoting this, our own history and what is around us aggressively. Malcolm X, clearly one of the greatest heroes, you know, we've had. And here we are right here in Boston, and it's still not venerated to the degree that I would like to see. And, you know, at some point too, we need to have conversations about what we can do to help with the progress and the process of restoring the house, raising funds for the continued mission of the Malcolm X Ella Little Collins house, which is right on Dale Street, right? Shout out to Rodnell Collins, who is the son of Miss Ella, and therefore the nephew of Malcolm. Shout out to him. He was supposed to be here today. We've been having a little bit of some technical issues and scheduling difficulties, but of course, this is the most busiest day of the year for him. And so on. So anybody else have any comments about the Ella Collins piece before we move on? No, nobody?
Yeah, it was definitely knowledgeable to hear um, Sister Ella, you know what I'm saying? So that's something well needed.
Give
And to be
thanks.
documented and to be documented big time.
That's right. All right, so let's get back to our thing. And okay, I gotta let somebody in. Let's get back to our ceremony. Let me share the screen again. Y'all see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. This is part 2. Sorry, y'all. Why is the sound not coming on? Okay, there we go. Okay.
Yes. Alex Haley says that you are so much more than Malcolm's sister. He said you were Malcolm's protector, his confidant. Tell me about your relationship with Malcolm, Alex.
That's hard to do. Yeah. Something quietly sitting somewhere.
And pardon me, y'all. I see that this is mislabeled. This is not part 2 to the Sarah Ann Shaw interview. That's another female Black journalist, and this is another time. And I want to say that this is based on the voice. I think that might be Tanya Hart.
thinking about him last night. That Malcolm was real. There wasn't one phony thing about him. He was just real. And when he got out of that box in Madison, Michigan, to come and stay with me, he wanted me to know he was real. He said, I'll never do anything to hurt you, Ella. Never. If I do anything to hurt you, you tell me, and then I get you sticking you beat me. I mean it. He kept shipping his hands in my face.
Did you ever do that?
Oh no. I've been mad to do it. But he's gone out of his way to make up the wrong doing he thought he had done. A lot of times he thinks he'd done something that wasn't in my book bad. It was just firm. I wanted him to be firm. I wanted him to be a man, to act like a man, talk like a man, roll like a man. He was little, you know, I got, but he soon grew up to manhood.
He was 7 years old when he came to Earth.
Yes, he was a little fellow, skinny, like bones. And he grew up, and every day or so he'd come to warn me, I'm getting taller, I'm getting bigger. Look at my shoulders, look at my arms, the muscles.
Did you know, because you see in him then, the man that he became?
I saw more. Had he lived another 10 years, then the world would have seen it. Much, much more. I saw in him. After my father, it let me concentrate on Malcolm, and now that I did, but my father was talking about it. Daddy would take him on the train. They go for a trip. Daddy was what they call a preacher. He was a preacher. They called him the great Reverend Little. And he would take Malcolm with him. Well, Malcolm would come back and quote Daddy's speech, every word of it. He said, Dad was up there. He was seeing him. He said, he was seeing clapping his hand, and all the women started shouting. It was cute. I enjoyed it. He started patting his hand too, little far. But Malcolm was the type of person you won't meet him. Never. You would meet him possibly in a lifetime. Mind you, I have 7 brothers. And Malcolm had certain qualities that none of the rest of them have.
What were those qualities?
He wanted to be good. You see a person desire to do good, to do that which will please you, and warn you of anything that goes wrong, or you should think about that. If I dislike the person, I speak wide open. I don't like him. I don't like her. He said, I don't say that. You might need her today, tomorrow, and she might come to your rescue. Don't say you don't like her. He meant it. He would go overboard, go out and buy a screen, something to lift my spirit, you know. And I like plants, flowers, had them all over the place, outdoors and everywhere. He liked plants. Every time he saw a different plant, my sister Ella lives in Boston, he way somewhere.
That's my man Sankofa.
Plant. And he watered it just like it was a baby and gave it to me. Why? I never asked him why he felt so devoted to me. I thought it came through birth.
But in his autobiography, he talks about that devotion to you. He talks about time and time again when he had to turn to you. And he says, Ella is the one person who never once really backed away from my cause.
No. I've been that way. They've been in prison. And then you back away from it. You love someone. Now, Reginald, my other brother, I love Reginald just as much. But Reginald would run away. He'd go off and stay a month. He wonder where he is. Malcolm would do that. Malcolm said, I knew you were worried if I went away. If I left and didn't come home tonight. You don't miss tonight coming home. He came home because you know I'd be worried. And he had him a stranger too in Boston. I worried because he was a stranger. And you can tell who you meet. You meet a different class of people that I would meet because I didn't go in the street. And who knows whether they're good people or bad people.
Did Boston change on that? Is that what led to the prison thing? The people he met on the streets? Did Boston change now?
To tell you the gospel true, no. I would worry about that sometimes. I used to worry about Malcolm getting involved with the wrong people. Someone told me they saw an article in the paper about him getting involved with the wrong people. Well, I never thought I wouldn't have exercised the idea. You knew what people they were. Malcolm was a good mind reader. Despite being an old woman, old man, you ever found who was a mind reader. And he'd say, I'm gonna keep away from them. They talk big and bad, but if somebody keeps it down, they'd be afraid to get caught and dragging in with them.
One of the interesting things about him is he was, because there's so much we can talk about, I want to make sure we get a lot of different things in here. When everybody else was saying, well, some people still saying color, he preferred to be called black. Do you ever talk about why? He says, you know, he thought Negro was a slave term and just was that the
No, all of it. It all came to slavery. And then it was conducted over the period of years. And how the people expressed. Now all that came through me. Him and I together, our mind looked on that. You're very young, from 6 years old. Our mind was looking on that.
He's just sort of a young man ahead of his time all along.
Always. He's an old man ahead of his time. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. The discussion, if you hear him sit down playing with sticks, I don't know what there's something to do with his game. Sticks in a row. And he said, Ella, how come black people didn't wake up in all that time? Was there nobody to tell them? What were they afraid of? You're only going to die once. Me would be one of those that go, and you need to stop that.
As he talked about slavery.
Part of y'all, I want to stop there and open up the discussion again, because once again, for a lot of folks, you know, this is the first time folks are seeing and hearing Ella Collins. Let's talk about it. And let me ask some of the elders that's on here. You know, once again, my mother's on here, moms, Brother Patah. Like, did y'all know Sister Ella Collins back in the day? Oh yeah, you got to unmute yourselves.
I didn't, Jamal.
No.
I don't recall her.
Okay, but of course, these type of people was all around the same time. You know, Elmer Lewis and all these type of people, which of course you clearly knew, but
Right.
you didn't know. You didn't know. And brother,
No, I didn't. No, I didn't either. No. I knew Ellen Jackson from the Freedom House on Elm Hill Ave, but I didn't know. I'm not familiar with her, but this is beautiful. Heck yeah, divine. I'm right here with you, Masiba. We're glad to have you broadcast.
Give thanks. Give thanks. And so, you know, what to me resonates with this is a couple, and you know, to talk about wanting to really instill in Malcolm. I gotta mute you again, brother. I gotta mute you again. I'm sorry. That's a lot of noise. I'm sorry. So anytime you have something to say, you can unmute, but then if we get a lot of background noise, we'll have to mute. It's all love. So the thing that one of the things that struck me about that was the talking about really striving to instill this whole kind of free thought thing, you know, and just encouraging him to, you know, tap into you know, wherever he wanted to go in his brain. And that, for those of us who've read the autobiography, what a contrast that is, of course, to the teacher who tried to, you know, as Minister Farrakhan and others have said, try to stick a needle in the brain when he was talking about high aspirate. Oh my, I gotta mute you too. When he was talking about aspiring to be like a lawyer or something, and the teacher was like, "Oh, Malcolm, you know, you're good with your hands. A lawyer's no job for a Negro. You know, you should be a carpenter, you know," and that type of thing. And I know for myself in my life, I've experienced those same type of things and all that. But it seems from an early age, you know, Ella was always the one pushing for free thought, and don't be ashamed of your intellect or your independence, your free will, your spirit. You know what I mean? And hearing that. Also, too, what many folks may know is, remember, you know, Malcolm's father and his family too, they were Garveyites too. So, you know, this is the second rendition of some, you know, semblance of Black consciousness and Black power, Afrocentricity, whatever you will. So this is, you know, this to me speaks of so many things. And also, too, in the Black family, of how many families where, you know, mom and dad, whatever might have happened, died in a car wreck, whatever, unable, whatever, and some other, what we call the extended family, steps in, and now child is living with sister or grandmama or whatever. And, you know, talk about stepping up. This lady stepped up and showed up for real. I don't know, was somebody trying to come in with a comment? Anybody who has comments, just unmute yourself and jump on in. Just making sure. Anybody has any comments, please feel free to jump in. All right. So at this point, let me just
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Seba?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, I apologize. Can you hear me? This is Fatah Seeker. Can you hear me?
Sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that, you know, I've been broadcasting this show. I'm thinking this is a physical site. We're all headed down to Nubian Square looking for the RBG. I'm running around. Then I just realized that this was virtual, because I just got off the phone with Sankofa, to wish him a happy birthday, but we all wanted to pay tribute to Malcolm X in the event and venue that you're producing. So I'm just realizing that this is all virtual.
Okay, yeah. So actually, let's talk a little bit about that. So what normally happens, brother, is we raise the red, black, and green flag on City Hall Plaza, right?
Yes.
And so that's normally what happens. Pardon, I gotta mute you again just because of the background noise. So we usually do it on City Hall Plaza, but obviously because of COVID, and even though that they're just now kind of loosening up the stuff, I'm still paranoid, and I'm not trying to take any chances and whatnot. So to me, we do the celebration, the honorarium, you know, virtually. But the flag is actually raised. So the flag is up right now on City Hall Plaza, has been since this morning. So if you feel like taking a trip, going down there, taking a picture with the flag, for sure, do that. But I also have to say, the best way to honor Malcolm X is, and is always to me going to remain to be, the site at Dale Street, you know, the Malcolm X Ella Little Collins house. So it's right there on Dale Street, right next to the park. I'm sure you know that. And, you know, anybody who wants to, you know, slide an envelope under the door, leave a fruit basket on the porch, you know, whatever, you know, and get in contact with Rodnell, who is, you know, still lives there with his family and maintains and is the caretaker of the property and the legacy, and moving forward with the project, which is the house is now just been recently just declared. It had always had some sort of designation, but they basically now it's like National Historic Landmarks Register, which is beyond like the Boston designation it had or whatever. But in any event, now there's supposed to be some rehab going on there, and eventually the plan is for it to be a house, if you will, where students, like a study house, where students who are like, you know, what do you call it? Fellows, like a fellowship program or what have you. And students who study various, whether it's political science or, certain things that Miss Collins designated, that those students would be able to actually live and study on the premises. So that's the long vision for it. And of course, we should all be supportive of it. And I can tell you in my own endeavors, dibbling and dabbling with the entertainment world, I've tried to do as much as, even so, if y'all have ever seen those Denzel Washington commercials where, he talks about his involvement with the boys club and all that. Well, I went and found that boys club out there in upstate New Jersey where Denzel is affiliated with. And I called him, was like, yo, I'm a kid of the Roxbury Boys and Girls Club. And look, I'm trying to get in contact with Denzel. I don't need his phone number. I'm not trying to talk to him, I'm not a Hollywood stalker, but Denzel needs to know about the Malcolm X house here in Roxbury. And if we can link him, and I tried to contact Spike Lee as well, to do a fundraiser for the Malcolm X house here, since clearly one of the biggest projects of both of their lives is the immortal Malcolm X movie. The best movie Spike Lee has ever made. And I would argue the best rendition of Malcolm X, and in the best performance by Denzel Washington. So in any event, these are the type of efforts that over the years I've tried to bring attention to this, even so much as trying to reach out to like Celtics or Patriots or Red Sox players. And apparently I stink at my job because I haven't been able to land the big fish. But,
well, I like to say that we hear you, we feel you, we've been watching you, and we honor you. And we are all in we have a few venues coming up here on June 25th at the Museum of the National Center of African Artists. The big head is we have the summer solstice celebration. And we would like for you to come out to express it is what it is that you want to talk about Malcolm X and the flag raising. We have also the Helical Rising on July 25th at the Museum of the National Center of American Arts, where Big Head is on Walnut Ave, where I reconstructed the Royal Burial Chamber of Vesubithia Spalta, the only ancient Egyptian burial chamber in America. And we are having a big festival there that day. We would love for you to come out and to speak and address the people. Sankofa is coming. Sankofa is going to speak. Sankofa is going to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award with a few other people. And we would love to have you to participate in our events, in our venue, in which we are doing here in the city of Boston, especially in Roxbury. And because you are such a trailblazer here in the community, Jamal Crawford, we would love to support you in anything that you are doing. We want to let you know that you have support here. And if you're running for office, we like to be part of your campaign. So anything that you are doing, because you are part of the grassroots operations here in the city of Boston, so we are here to assist you, to lend a hand in whatever you're doing. So you're not alone. Don't ever think that you're alone, my
no. Check this out, because we're gonna bring it back to Malcolm X.
Yes.
What I want to do is say this.
Let me mute my mic.
What I learned from Malcolm was, Malcolm said at one point, basically, how are we gonna fix our Black problem? And Malcolm said, we have to find the best students in all the areas basically that afflict us. So if we have a financial problem, we need to find all of our, financial wizards and gurus. If our problem is legal, then we need to find all of our legal wizards and legal eagles. If our problem is political, then we need to get all of our political scientists and so on and so forth, sociologists and so on and so forth. So the point is, for me, I don't feel alone. What I do feel is though, is that Boston has never really put a heave-ho effort into joining together like the Super Friends with a very specific understanding of what each of our powers are, and then we're all going to move together to slay the dragon. And that's all I'm saying. Because, so for instance, the museum, which I did the same approach with, I approached Celtics, pages of same thing. What I'm trying to say is, how do we get a massive support around things that people already say they support? There's no Black people out there who say, I don't think Malcolm is significant. Malcolm schmalcolm. There's nobody saying that. Everybody says they love Malcolm. My thing is, how are we able to foster a way now for folks to put, some elbow grease or their money where their mouth is or whatever, so that we can begin to show bigger love to the things that we say that we care about and we honor and we respect, and give thanks, brother, for the kind words and whatnot. But I kind of was saying this in the beginning, like our mission, I believe, has to be about getting more. Like, okay, right now we have 24 participants on here. This should be, if I had 500 in the city of Boston, one of Malcolm's hometown, the only other one would be, Omaha, Nebraska, right? I mean, what I'm saying is this thing should be so crowded and packed because we love Malcolm and we in the middle of Black Lives Matter and everybody throwing up a fist and all this. So all I'm saying is, I love our little family. I love our little church. What I'm saying is, we got to increase. We need to find more of us. We have to, what they say, the work is much, in the vineyard is much, but the toilers are few. So we have to find more toilers in this, and we have to find the ones that are gonna, yes, amplify, magnify, yes. What was the old thing what the gangs used to say? We don't die, we multiply. You see, the gangs figured it out. One of us dies, we already got 2-3 little kids in the cut. They're gonna be the future gangsters. Who's the future warriors? Who's the future soldiers? Where are all, and those are not masculine terms, by the way. That applies to men and women, right? So the whole thing is, what are we doing to continue this thing? And learning from Malcolm, when he got involved into the Nation of Islam, his first order of business was bringing in hundreds and thousands of new recruits. First order of business, right? We have to duplicate some of these processes that we know work. The other thing that Malcolm dealt with was, logical reasoning and fact, right? We also have to apply some sort of lens to the things that we choose to champion, right? With some sort of logical lens to it. And lastly, and maybe more mostly important, is the moral compass. They played on it a little bit in the movie, but J. Edgar Hoover, of course, had tags all over these people. They were bored with Malcolm because Malcolm was living clean. He wasn't out here, trying to screw all the women. He wasn't out here after a hard day, with a bottle of scotch. He wasn't sniffing the cocaine, or at that time, the heroin or the reefers. He wasn't doing none of that. He was living clean. They had him wiretapped everywhere. Boring. The stuff they got him on tape. I love you, honey. Tell the girls I said good night. He was Mr. Rogers. So these are the types of things these are the parts that what I say I want to emphasize and I want to amplify. Thank you, sister. Great word, right? And with sisters like Ella Collins, right, to show that relationship. Malcolm was not, hatched on an alien planet. He came from a family much like all of ours that suffered tragedy and triumph and came through it with the love and the support of others, by learning, by remaining humble, by striving to achieve excellence, never taking less than excellence as appropriate. Mediocrity is failure. We got to be all the way right and tight. So with that, y'all, if anybody else has anything to say before I go into the ending of it, and we're going to end with the words of the good brother Malcolm. So if anybody has anything else to add, and let me say this too. If there's anybody here from the city of Boston representing any elected officials or any offices, or the state for that matter, state reps or senators or what have you, please, at least say that in the chat if you don't say it verbally, just so I know and I can acknowledge, and so I could put you back on my Christmas list.
Yo, peace, Jamal. I just want to say, if I may, right? I just want to say, I definitely appreciate you, man, and I'm a full supporter. But also, I want to follow up on the conversation that you were having about the supporters of the Malcolm X House and the Museum for the National Center and so on and so forth. I remember we were all online, a bunch of brothers, you, myself, other brothers from different parts of New England and so on and so forth were online, and we were discussing this same topic, and a couple of folks mentioned that they were going to reach out to some prominent quote unquote black folks or black folks who had some wealth, status and so on and so forth, and see if they would participate or donate or even bring light to these situations. Has anything ever come of that?
You already know the answer, my brother.
Yeah, I know, because you would have made it public anyways. For real, I already know you. But also too, I just want to say this briefly, so it's not to be long-winded. I'm working on that with myself. But in any case, I think, in my opinion, and y'all can disagree, that a lot of the reason why a lot of us don't get involved is for the sake of instant gratification, the lack thereof, I should say. A lot of us are into instant gratification. We want to jump into something with an idea or with a plan or whatever, and see it to fruition, but they don't want to see it. They want it to happen right now, like as if their idea or their monies or their support is going to lead to something wow, and these are long terms. As the saying goes, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. And there's been a marathon for quite some time. People get discouraged, unlike yourself, I've seen you and I've worked with you for real, man. And I've watched you painstakingly see something from seed to growth. And that growth is long term, even now with what you're doing in Grove Hall and all the other endeavors that you embarked on, for real. So I think that instant gratification is what we look for, and I think we need to get away from that. That's just my take on it.
Yes, sir. Much appreciated. Anybody else?
Yeah, there's something. I was thinking. I wish I would have gotten in contact with Sister Ilyasha Shabazz to come in if she wasn't busy. So that's just something I just want to throw at. But that'll be beautiful of that sister.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, so as you know, this is the busiest day for all of them. And really, most of them we were supposed to have a live stream connection with, as you know, because you've been there with me, as I believe the Warrior, you've been there as well. Everybody goes to Ferncliff Cemetery where Malcolm is buried. Also, shout out to Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, who's also buried there. But Ferncliff Cemetery in New York, and they have a pilgrimage there every year. When every year on this anniversary, and they do it for his birth, and I believe they also celebrate not celebrate, but part of self honor and remember the assassination as well. So I was supposed to have a live stream with that. For those who do not know, I'll put a link in the event thing. But folks should follow Professor James Small. He's one of the leaders of that, or the Malcolm X grassroots movement. And hopefully we can catch on to that live stream. And I'll also say too, to Warrior's point, Ampatar, we all should, I think, reach out to all the different artists and such that we know, and let's see if we could just do a fundraiser or something. And we do a fundraiser. Let's see if we could raise a couple of $1,000 at least, and we split it between the museum and the Malcolm X House. That's a great start, and we could raise awareness there. And that's not a heavy lift. We can all do that, So let's go. All All right. Anybody else have
That would
anything
be
to
a
say?
great idea.
Yep.
I think that that fundraiser would be a great idea, man. In that Grove Hall spot. What do you think?
Yeah, that plus virtual. You know, that plus virtual. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Well, I'd like to hook up with you. If you can connect with me on my messenger, you can transfer me your mathematics, your numbers and stuff, and me and you can begin to break bread. When we have the museum grounds, I am a member of the committee there, and I've also have a private exhibit there, and we are in the process right now of hooking this Nubian Square thing down so that we don't get bum rushed out of this. All the money and activities that's coming into Boston, into the Roxbury area, they get ready to gentrify. You know what they're going to do? They're going to Christianize it, Muslimize it, and take all the African spirituality out of it. We are in the process of doing some African spirituality things that are going to be collectively manifesting to our spiritual consciousness and to the uplifting of our legacy as the original people on this planet, to regain our consciousness. But there are a lot of things that are going on. I would love to participate and to work with you in any fundraiser, anything that's going to bring our people together economically, financially, spiritually, to help with. I got food drives going up there. I got the medical assistance coming up there. Anything that we need, I would love to have to work with you, my brother.
All right, so let's me and you make sure we talk later on today, because we got multiple things to chop up. And
okay.
And you know too, like Barry Gaither knew me before I was born. Barry know my whole family.
Yes.
And then two, I want to ask you, the brother who did, everybody calls it the big head, but the real name of the thing is called the Eternal Presence, right?
Yeah.
And what's the brother's name who did it? John
Wilson.
John Wilson. Is he still alive?
No, John is transitioned.
When did he pass?
I don't have the logistics on that. That's Barry's category, but yes, he passed away.
Was it recent or was like back in the day?
Back in the day.
Okay, all right, okay, cool. So I'll talk with you about that too, because I also, through the technology of 3D printing as a fundraiser, I've always thought that the museum should be able to have miniature versions of the Eternal Presence and miniature versions of Asfelta's tomb for sale, with the proceeds that would go to the museum. And now, in the words of them folks who picked up Steve Austin, we have the technology. We can do it.
Yes, all virtual now. We're going virtual. I would love to have your participation. We're going to talk, and we can make this work right now. We have the technology.
And once again, for those that do not know, this is the brother who, inside of the National Center of Afro-American Artists Museum, which sits on Walnut Ave, which a lot of people call the Big Head Museum, with the statue, the Big Head, which is really the Eternal Presence, as we just covered. If you've ever been in there, there's a full life-size replica of King Asfelta's tomb, or tomb, what do you call it, really? Sarcophagus, rather, right? And so that's in there for those who have seen it. And this is the brother who created it. So once again, give thanks for you, brother. And shout out to all the folks of AMARP over the years, African Americans Masters Arts and Residency Program, Dana Chandler and all the originators, and everybody else since, Hakeem Raquib, all of them who have been holding down Black arts. And this whole thing, Malcolm X Day, later on tonight is a performance from The Last Poets. They started off on Malcolm X Day because this is the merger of the Black Power movement and the Black arts movement. They are cousins. They go together like bread and butter. So without further ado, if anybody else has anything to say, I'll get some last comments in here, and then I'm going to go into closing out with some words from our good brother Malcolm.
Hey, Jamal, this is Toy. Can I say something?
Of course.
For those of you who do not know, I am the founder and executive director of the Roxbury Unity Parade. And each third Sunday in July, we go from Malcolm X Boulevard to Malcolm X Park. We are the red, black, and green. That is our logo. And we are the only parade in Boston that is dedicated to uplifting, paying homage to, and celebrating Black culture. So I just wanted to get that in.
Okay. All right.
Greetings, Jamal. I just wanted to lift you up and thank you as others have, but really for the idea that you used Malcolm's, sister, ancestor Ella Collins, and centered her in how you delivered this presentation. I mean, there are a million other videos that you could have highlighted, and there's a number of ways in which you could have framed this time we spent together, but that was really unique, and I appreciate that. You reflecting on the lessons and the insight and that relationship and elevating the pure divine feminine essence. So give thanks for that.
And you get 2 points because you said elevating. Get it? Ella Collins, elevating. Good one.
That was good too.
All right, y'all. So now, thank you, sister. And now, all right, y'all. So let's go with some words. As you say, there's, hundreds of videos out there, and many of y'all have heard this before. But we're gonna, no. Many of you may not have heard this before, and I'll preface this with that. Everybody knows Martin Luther King, I've been to the mountaintop and all this type of thing. They harp on, certain speeches, the Hallmark card versions of it. So, we've heard Message to the Grassroots. We've heard all this. One of my favorite books as a kid, when they had all these different collections of Malcolm X works, was actually, one was the Malcolm X Reader, which was great, a collection of speeches. But the other one is called Malcolm X, The End of White World Supremacy. And so that's what we're going to hear from right here. Malcolm X, The End of White World Supremacy. This is like, when folks don't know about Martin Luther King, chaos or community. They always focus on I have a dream. All right. So here's Malcolm X, The End of White World Supremacy. Y'all see that screen, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Are still black, or are at least part of the black nation. So here at Muhammad's Mosque, when you hear us use the
I can't hear anything anymore.
I can't hear anything either.
Jamal, I think when you mute yourself, it turns off the sound.
Okay. Yep. I'm sorry. Let's go back. I'm sorry.
are still black, or are at least part of the black nation. So here at Muhammad's Mosque, when you hear us use the term black, we mean everybody who is here. Whatever, despite your complexion, if you're here at the mosque, you're black. Because the only ticket you need to get into Muhammad's Mosque is to be black. So if you got in, you're black. You may not have known you were black before you came here. In fact, very few of our people really look upon themselves as being black. They think of themselves as practically everything else on the color spectrum except black. And no matter how dark one of our people may be, you never hear him call himself black. But now that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been teaching among the so-called Negroes, you'll find our people at all complexions running around here bragging about, I'm a black man. Well, this shows you that a new teaching is taking place and that there is new thinking among the so-called Negroes. If just yesterday, you would have to admit that it was very difficult to get our people to refer to themselves as black, and then now all of a sudden you find all of us of all complexions not apologizing for being black, but bragging about being black. Well, there's a new thinking that has sprung up here in America among the so-called Negroes. And the one who is actually the author of this new thinking is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It is what he is teaching that's making our people for the first time proud to be black. And what's most important of all, for the first time, it makes our people want to know more about black.
want to know why black is good, or what there is about black that's good. I might stop right here to point out, some of you may say, well, I come out here to listen to some religion of Islam, and all I hear you talk about is black. We don't separate our religion from our color, nor do we separate our color from our religion. The white man doesn't. The white man never has separated Christianity from white, nor has he separated white from Christianity. When you have a white man bragging about, I'm a Christian, he's bragging about he's a white man. And the average Negro, when you hear him bragging about he's a Christian, he's bragging about he's a white man. Or he wants to be white. And usually those Negroes who brag like that, I think you'll have to agree, their songs and the things that they sing in church bear out that they have a greater desire to be white than anything else. My mother was a Christian, and father was a Christian. And I used to hear them when I was a little child sing songs, Wash Me White as Snow. My father was a black man, and my mother was a black woman. But yet the songs that they sang in their church were designed to fill their heart with a desire to be white. So many people, especially our people, they would get resentful to hear us say something like this. But then rather than get resentful, all they have to do is think back over the many of the songs and much of the teaching and the doctrine that they were taught while they were going to church, and they'll have to agree that it was all designed to make us look down at black and up at white. So the religion that we have, the religion of Islam, the religion that makes us Muslims, the religion that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching us here in America today, is designed to undo in our mind what the white man has done to us. It's designed to undo the type of brainwashing that we had to undergo for 400 years at the hands of the white man in order to bring us down to the level that we're on today. So when you hear us when you hear us often refer to black and almost in a boastful way, and actually we're not boasting, we're speaking of it in a factual sense. All we're doing is telling the truth about our people. Whenever you exalt black, that's not propaganda. When you exalt white, that's propaganda. Because no one can give biological evidence that there is any basis to elevate white or place white above everything else. But you can give biological evidence to show where black actually is the stronger and the superior of the two, if you want to make that kind of comparison. So never think ill of the person whom you hear representing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad if an overemphasis seems to be placed upon black, but rather sit and analyze and try and get an understanding. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that of all the things the black man can study, or any man can study for that matter, history is best qualified to reward all research. You have to have a knowledge of history no matter what you're going to do. Anything that you undertake, you have to have a knowledge of history in order to be successful in it.
They better not.
Forward. Come on in.
The sacrilege.
I'm our medical lead here at Forward.
We just skip button.
Oh my gosh, I gotta move this whole bar. Hold on.
That's because there's no waiting here at Forward.
The thing that has made the so-called Negro in America fail more so than any other thing is your and my lack of knowledge concerning history. We know less about history than anything else. There are black people in America who have mastered the mathematical sciences, have become professors and experts in physics, are able to toss Sputniks out there in the atmosphere, out in space. They're masters in that field. We have black men who have mastered the field of medicine. We have black men who have mastered other fields. But very seldom do we have black men in America who have mastered the knowledge of history of the black man himself. They are experts. We have among our people those who are experts in every field. But seldom can you find one from among us who is an expert on the history of the black man. And because of his lack of knowledge concerning the history of the black man, no matter how much he excels in these other sciences, he's always confined. He's always relegated to the same low rung of the ladder that the dumbest of our people are relegated to. And all of this stems from his lack of knowledge concerning history. What Dr. George Washington Carver a Negro scientist instead of a scientist? What made Paul Robeson a Negro actor instead of an actor? What made Ralph Bunche, or makes Ralph Bunche a Negro statesman instead of a statesman? It's the only difference between Bunche and Carver and these others whom I just mentioned. They don't know the history of the black man. Bunche is an expert, an international politician, a politician on the international level. But Bunche doesn't know himself. He has no knowledge of the history of his own people. He can be sent all over the world by America to solve problems for America or to solve problems for other nations, but he can't solve problems for his own people in this country. Why? What is it that what is it that ties our people up in this way? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says it boils down to just one word: history. When you study the history of Bunche, his history is different from the history of the black man who just comes here from Africa. And if you notice, Bunche was in Atlanta, Georgia during the summer, NAACP convention. He was Jim Crow. He was segregated. He was not allowed to go in a hotel down there. Yet there are Africans who can come here black as night and go in some of these cracker hotels. Well, what is the difference between Bunche and one of them? The difference is Bunche doesn't know his history, and they, the Africans, do know their history. They may come here out of the jungle, but they know their history. They may come here wearing sheets with their hair all wrapped up, but they know their history. You and I can come out of Harvard, but we don't know our history. And the basic difference in why we are treated as we are, one knows his history and one doesn't know his history. The American Negro doesn't know his history.
Okay. I think that's a good point right there. So now, you know, for those who now have some more comments, let's go. And this is our last round of discussion. And this is it. So you hear the words straight from the man himself. And to echo what we were talking about before, you know, you can hear how much of that foundation is in that. It speaks of independence. It speaks about, you know, all these things when you put self in front of something, self-reliance, self, you know, knowledge or knowledge of self, you know what I mean? Self-empowerment, right? The great comedian, Cat Williams, talked about self-esteem, right? And, you know, can't nobody mess up your self-esteem because it's about yourself, right? So once you have that, you're centered in, you know, a good foundation of knowing who you are, you're better equipped to handle the world outside of self, right? And and let's not get it confused with being selfish or, you know, egotistical or these type of things. But you already know, you get on a plane, you know, even if you're with your kid, if the oxygen mask drops down, you got to put one on your face first, right? Or you'll be no good. So I just want folks to understand this whole type of thing where, you know, not self-centeredness, not egoism or egotisticalness, whatever that, if that's a word. That's not what we're talking about. But we're talking about a healthy knowledge of self so that you know how to deal with the world outside of self. And, you know, if you're confused, you're just gonna be confused. What's the old soul song? If you don't know me by now, you ain't never, ever, ever gonna know. So what I'm saying is we have to have some sort of awakening of not a thing where we're, in my opinion, trying to sway each other to this mode of belief or this way of thinking, or we all have to dress alike or think alike or whatever. But really, it is about using logic and information as the basis of, when I was a kid, you know, moms, when I got kicked out of some of those schools, it was purely because I was protesting and saying, no, history did not begin with the King of England and Marie Antoinette and all this type of stuff. No, it began in Africa. I was kicked out back in the days. But now, since, you know, Harvard and all them people have now said it, what was once crazy years ago is now accepted as the general truth. We've advanced. Okay, and we can get really crazy with it because too, I don't know if y'all have seen, but the Pentagon is about to release a whole bunch of stuff more than they've released before, and they're about to tell y'all the UFOs are true too. So all this time, we all, ha ha ha, kooky people. Okay, so sometimes a conspiracy theory is just kookyville, and sometimes it's not. So when people were saying Gary Rickson's art, Africa, Dana Chandler and all that, Africa is the beginning and putting pyramids up and all this time, well, Africa is the beginning. Pfft, there's no civilization in Africa. No, yeah. No, not no civilization in Africa, the civilization in Africa, the origins of civilization and humanity and so on and so forth. So we have to clarify and like get the cobwebs out of our brain. And once again, too, you know, we cannot allow or should not allow the cheapification of our heroes, the hallmarkization of our heroes. And so somebody will take somebody like Harriet Tubman and put her on a Hallmark card, you know, and you know, and call that Black History Month. Oh, it goes deeper than that. And this is why, too, you know, as I said, with Martin Luther King, they focus on the I have a dream, I've been to the mountaintop and all this. They don't focus on chaos or community. Where do we go from here? With Malcolm X, you know, they might focus on message to the grassroots, or, you know, these type of things. But, you know, how many of y'all, is this the first time you were seeing the cover of this book? Right. So this is the type, when I went to,
Can't see it. We just see your picture.
oh, because I stopped screen sharing. It was the screenshot of when I was playing the video. I'm sorry. This, y'all see that now?
Yes.
Okay, so that there. How many of y'all, that's the first time you're seeing that? So this is exactly what I mean. You know, and this is and it's only 2 speeches, right? And at this time, when I was young, reading all of this Malcolm X stuff, they had the Malcolm X Reader, they had collected speeches of Malcolm, blah, blah, blah. It was like 5 or 6 different Malcolm books outside of the autobiography of Malcolm X, whatever. But I found this one when I was going to private school, whatever. And on my way home, I had to traverse through Harvard Square. And I used to go into all the little weird little bookstores and all this type of thing. And I found this in there, and bang. And so, you know, in any event, my point is that we have to, as he says, and this is, you know, really what I wanted to focus on, the thing that is best suited for us to, you know, reward ourselves is our knowledge of self and history. Danae, if you have your hand up, we don't do that here. Double Dutch, just jump in right where you fit in.
Hey, Jamal. Let me just say something briefly because I'm at Ruggles and I got to get to the job. Yep. But I want to say something to your point, and just a couple of things, and I'm gonna be gone. One is that to your point about us being able to digest our own history, it has been and it still is difficult for a lot of us to accept our story from one of us. You know, I still know people who I've tried to like enlighten on some things and tell them you don't have to take my word for it. You can research it for yourself, but enlighten them on some things that they didn't know, who have told me blatantly, man, I don't want to hear the African stuff, man. You know, I'm good. Like, you know, I'm good where I'm going, stuff like that. I've heard comments like that as well. Also, too, lastly, I like to say this. The evolution of a person is important as well. A lot of people like to remember Malcolm as Malcolm X, but we mustn't forget that he evolved into El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. And that in and of itself is an important evolution. Because if we had continued to call him, you know, Red, and or if you continue to call me, by my former street name as well, then it's not acknowledging my growth or my development. So that's all I like to say before I bounce.
Absolutely. And yo, point well taken, and you're absolutely right. And the reason that I generally refer to him as Malcolm X, and funny, my mother's here, it's almost the same reason that I refer to Jesus Christ as Jesus Christ, only because it's the most popular term, the most widely accepted term that folks have instant familiarity with. And if I did, Yeshua ben Yosef or something like that, then folks are like, what are you talking about? So you are absolutely correct. El Hajj El Malik Shabazz, clearly after making, the pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj, and taking on his new Islamic name and coming back with a different perspective as well. And, he had several evolutions in his life, right? Because Detroit Red, for instance, if for those who don't know, he was in my grandmama house, my mother's house, right there on Ruthven. Back in the day, after coming from the clubs, doing the jitterbug and the Lindy Hop or whatever the heck it was going on, they used to come for a nightcap. And my grandmother was in that whole dancing scene. And, at least on one occasion, back then, Malcolm X was in the house. But this is before he was Malcolm X. This is when he was Detroit Red. So in any event, excellent point. Yes. And sister who had your hand up, once again, we don't do the hands up. Just jump in where you fit in. If you got something to say, sister, where you at?
Oh, she was saying that she never
Oh,
saw the
never
book
saw.
before.
Oh, okay. All right. Got you, sis. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that they got a voice, and not for nothing too. I'm actually partial to the sisters because, a lot of us, unlike Brother Michael, are not working on our long-windedness.
I'm actually white, so I'm just here to listen.
White people get to speak too, though. If you have a salient point, I mean, if you have a salient point, you get to say something too. Mr. Beach, if you have something to say, of course.
No, I'm just listening, brother.
All right, give thanks. All right, so then I just wanted to make sure everybody heard that last those last words from Malcolm. And once again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for this conversation. Let's honor our ancestor. Excuse me, Porter. Let's honor our ancestor as well by doing something today. In some way, in your own way, shape, or form, honor the legacy of Malcolm X. Honor the legacy of Ella Little Collins. Do something. Go buy a book for a kid. Go buy the autobiography. It's available at Frugal Bookstore if you're in Boston, down Dudley. Go buy the autobiography and give it to some kid, like my cousin did me when I was 10 years old. Changed my life. It's the reason why I am how I am now. So, go buy the book for a kid. That's like the least we could do. You know what I mean? Something like that. So let's all honor him in our own way. Once again, know that the red, black, and green flag is raised up over the city of Boston right now. The Black Pride flag, the Black Power flag, the Pan-Africanist flag, whatever you want to call it, whatever name you use it by, the flag that was created by the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, that is flying above the city. And let us also not forget that. We raised the flag in the city of Boston on several momentous Black History moments. We do it for February, Black History Month. We also do it for, obviously today, May 19th, Malcolm X Day. We also do it for June 19th, which is Juneteenth. Then we also do it for August 17th, which is Marcus Garvey's birthday, born day, as well as Black August, which celebrates and honors all political prisoners and also honors revolutions around the world. It just, Black August is the month of uprisings and, Mutulu Shakur's birthday. And it's a whole bunch of stuff that pops off in August. So we raise the red, black, and green flag there as well. All right, y'all. So thank you all for participating and coming. The video will be up shortly, and I'll put it on YouTube and then put it back on Facebook. For everybody who missed it, please share this with somebody and share the information that that was contained therein. Go look up them videos. Go look up Ella Collins on Facebook. You can find the same videos I just found. Go look up this Malcolm X End of World White Supremacy on YouTube. You'll find the same thing. Share it with a kid in your life. You know what I mean? Your niece, your nephew, your son, your grandkids, whatever, however it goes, please. All right. This is the only way we're going to survive. You heard it from the man himself. History is the thing best suited to reward us as a people. And really, it's biblical too, because our people perish for what? A lack of knowledge. All right. So let's increase the knowledge, y'all. All right, peace. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Jamal.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. You are a treasure
Thank
to
you,
us.
Kay. Blessings.
Duau, Siva. Para
God
tapu
bless.
kama
Peace,
kwa
family.
te tero kuja sinem. Loving peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. Call me. I have something I have to say. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.